Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wheel of Horror. This is episode 11, so if you don't understand this series, you may be having some trouble. But there's no new suggestions, so let's spin the wheel and see what we're going to get. I know Tim really wants me to spin his, so let's see if I could do it, which I can't, but we're going to be watching Hostel. So thank you, Nick, for the suggestion, and let's get to the review.
Hostel was released in 2005 and directed by Eli Roth. It stars Jay Hernandez and is about three dude bros.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. You miss your old familiar friends, but waiting just around the bend. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's the looks of somebody who needs you. When you're lost out there and you're all alone.
Who are backpacking around different countries who are searching to have intercourse with ladies. And yeah, it leads them to a place in Slovakia where they're looking to hook up with more females. I literally can't believe I just said intercourse. This movie actually had a big cultural impact because tourist rates actually decreased, I think, by like 80% in Slovakia after this movie was released, which is absolutely insane. But I would like to say that this is just a movie. They're not painting Slovakia in a terrible light. I mean, the movie looks like they are, but it wasn't meant to be like, oh, only Slovakia is doing this, because for all we know, England can be doing this, the United States, Peru, different places can be doing this. But, if you ever want to backpack, go somewhere, check out Slovakia, because it could be a lot of fun. It's really beautiful in a lot of places. But okay, getting to the actual review itself. This movie, I was really afraid to watch it because I'm not a big fan of torture porns, which this movie is classified and really is known as the peak of this type of horror movie in this subgenre. And so I always kind of avoided it, and then my friend Nick suggested it, which, thank you, Nick, for suggesting it. He knows me very well. He knows what kind of horror I like, what kind I don't like. And I know that he did this because I know he wanted to see it, but also he wants to push me out of my comfort zone with certain movies. So, in a way, I was kind of happy that he suggested it so I could experience this and see it. Because overall, I mean, it's a pretty good movie. There are quite a few issues that I do have with it, but let's get into some of the pros. So first off, of course, one of the pros of this movie is going to be the torture scenes and all of that, which, it's a horror movie, it's classified as a torture porn. Everyone knows that there's going to be torture scenes. It's not some big spoiler, but they do a great job of showing you enough, but also not going too far where it's like, oh, that's unrealistic, or why are you showing us this much? You don't need to show us all of this. You could have just done this. And Eli Roth does a great job of showing you enough, doing a lot with like sound in the background of this place where the torture is happening. You could hear other people screaming, you hear other sounds like chainsaws, like buzzing, snapping from like scissors. It's just stuff like that. And the sound design in this movie is phenomenal. I think just one flaw I have with it a little bit is like when someone gets cut or something like that, it's like a ripping sound. And I have to say, I don't know if I've ever heard like a ripping sound when someone has been cut somewhere. So I think that would really be my only flaw with like the sound. But like overall, just like hearing all of these different like torturings happening behind these closed doors and not really seeing, just really paints this realistic picture in our head. and makes us imagine what we think is happening behind that door, which makes the movie a lot scarier. Another pro that I have with this movie is one line that this character Natalia has. She's not one of the main characters per se. She's one of the females in Slovakia who the dude bros, and I'm referring to in the term dude bros for a specific reason, which I'll explain in the cons. But she says this really funny line that I don't want to spoil, but I felt the need to have to put it in the pros because it just came out of left field. It was so hilarious to me. I think you'll know when it happens. It happens at like the end of the second act, just entering into the third act. It's very funny. She says it to Jay Hernandez's character. The third pro that I have with this movie has to be the gypsies, which are these group of children in Slovakia who are poor. They don't have a lot, but they go up to tourists and ask them for bubble gum, for some money, stuff like that. And if they don't give it to them, they're gonna attack them and rob them. And like there's different scenes where like they'll be entering an alleyway and then the little gypsy kids come and they have to pay them in bubble gum and then that will let them pass through. And I love them. They were so funny. And there's such a great scene with them at the end that's so satisfying that I had to put them as a pro. I think that the last pro that I really have with the movie has to be the setting of all of it. I mean, it just has such a realistic vibe to it, which really is the most scary element to this movie. And it definitely is a pro going into this movie. Now, it's time to talk about some cons, which the absolute biggest, most annoying, pissed me off con was the characters. They are all the most boring. Like, you just hate these characters so much. And they're like the stereotypical, like, dude going on vacation, just, oh, I want to have sex with everything. I'm gonna be homophobic to people. I'm gonna be xenophobic. I'm gonna be sexist. Just all of that. And it goes way too far with that to where you just really hate all of these characters. And I don't think it was going for you hating every single one of them. I think they wanted you to care at least a tiny bit about them to make that third act more effective when one of the characters gets thrown into a situation to which his life could be at risk, and they want you to care about him. But because of that whole entire first act and second act where you just absolutely hate them, it just makes the message less effective than what they were originally tending. I'm just thinking about these characters and it's honestly pissing me off again. I mean, there's Oli, who's this Icelandic backpacker. He was fine. I mean, he was actually like a little bit funny. He made me laugh like once. Sorry for that weird cutoff. My phone died, so yeah. But I know I was talking about Oli. He made me laugh once. I know that's why I said, but yeah, he made me laugh once. I think another issue that I have with this movie is that it feels really goofy at different points. And it's really hard to explain, but so many scenes just has such this goofiness to it when it really shouldn't. And it just made the message so mixed of what they were trying to portray. And certain elements of it worked. It's hard to explain one of them without spoiling, so one element of a goofy scene worked. But so much of it just feels weird because of the goofy energy that it has. The last real flaw that I have with this movie is definitely the jump scares. The jump scares are terrible. I don't think you're going to be in this movie looking for great jump scares because they're going to focus more on like the tortury parts. But I like to have a few little scares, just like a little boo and you know. But yeah, no, they were all terrible in this movie. So overall, I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. And if you're into these torture porn movies, this subgenre, I recommend it. It's a lot less torture than you're going to expect after hearing all this hype about it, but the amount they give you is the perfect amount. So take that with a grain of salt. Julia, if you're watching, you are going to love this movie because this is just your type of movie. So thank you everyone for watching, and thank you again to Nick for suggesting this movie. leave some comments below if you have any other movie suggestions. But let's flash forward to the next review.